Hello and welcome back. My name is Gabby and this is English 12B, Unit 10, Performance Task 2. So for Performance Task 2, it's Activity 21 in your workbook. You are going to do an essential, talking back to the poem, Essential Questions essay. So you have read a lot of poetry, you've learned about the sound devices, remember rhyme, right? The same in sound, so respect, protect, right? Repetition, so I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream, right? Alliteration, bouncing boy buys bacon, right? Ba. Assonance, the middle of the word, the middle vowels sound the same, so mane or tail. May, te, a, that a sounds the same. Consonants, so consonants in two or more words repeat. So mother, father, that th, right? Onomatopoeia, words that sound like the sound they mean. So buzz, hum, click. There's figurative language. Again, I have a whole video about figurative language. Similes, metaphors, personification. Similes, comparisons using like or as. Her eyes were like diamonds. Metaphors, same thing, but without the like or as. So her eyes were diamonds, talking about one thing as if it were another. Personification, giving human-like characteristics to non-human things. The walls wept when the family moved out. Walls can't weep, walls can't cry, right? So what you're going to be doing is you're reading the poetry in the kitchen, or the poem in the kitchen by Penelope Shuttle, and then you're going to answer some questions. So in the kitchen, there's already a link here to read it if your textbook is far away from you or something. In the kitchen is an elegy. So it's a poem about the mourning or loss of somebody. So somebody died, and they're writing this as a memory to them. So you're going to use a quote from the poem to show that the author is in mourning or sad that somebody died. Can you relate to this quote and explain? So give me a quote here, and then explain if you can relate or can't relate. So when I was y'all's age, of, you know, if I were 18, which is like a typical senior, right? No, I couldn't really relate to this. I was about to lose my dog, I thought, because he was pretty old. He was about 12 when that happened, when I was 18. So I thought that was going to be the first time I really experienced death. Other than that, I had a few hamsters that died. But by the time I was 19, my mom had died. So if it were as I was 19, yes, I would have been able to relate. However, if I was 18, no, right? Okay, so talking back to the poem. To prepare for a graded essay, you want to look closely at this poem and relate it to the 3 essential questions, because that's what the whole thing's about, right? So let's look at this. So who's the speaker? Remember, the speaker is not always the author. A lot of the times they write from somebody else's perspective, so don't put Penelope Shuttle here. Tell us what we do know about the author. We know that they're dealing with loss. We know that we might have an idea of who they lost, right? We might have an idea of how they deal with loss. So are they a strong person? Are they kind of weak and mopey? Like, what kind of person are we dealing with? Who is the audience? So who are they writing this for? Are they writing it for the person they lost? Are they writing it for the family that also survived the loss? Are they writing it for themselves? Who do you think the audience is intended to be? What is the poem about? So we know it's about loss, but whose loss? About respecting their memory, tarnishing their memory? Like, what is it about? What's the tone or the mood of the poem? Is it happy and celebrating that person's life? Is it sad and mournful? Is it respectful? Like, what is the overall feeling? How does the poem appeal to the senses? So remember, so what is it telling you to see? What is it telling you to smell? What is it telling you to taste? What is it telling you to hear? And what is it telling you to feel, right? Is repetition used? If so, how? Are similes and metaphors used? If so, how? I know there's a very little space here. If you want to write on the back of this page, if you want to write on a separate page, you totally can. What is unique about this poem's style? So what's different? Does she not use any periods? Does she really do a great job of her imagery? What's different about it? What is the purpose or lesson? So what is she trying to get you to learn? Is she trying to get you to learn to appreciate what you got while you got it? Is she trying to get you to learn how much mothers do? Is she trying to get you to, what is she trying to get you to learn? What is your favorite line or phrase from the poem? That's on you. As long as you can explain it, you write. Essential question, what is the relationship between this poem and the place or the setting? So it says literally in the title, in the kitchen. I'm assuming the setting is going to be important and relate to the poem. Essential question number 2, does this poem change or reflect society? If so, how? Does it reflect society's ideas about loss? Does this seem typical or atypical? So something you typically see of somebody who's going through loss, or is it breaking the norms? Is it showing that it's okay to break the norms when it comes to mourning? And then number 3, what is this poem's relationship to tradition? So maybe think about the traditions of mourning, the traditions of poetry, the traditions of mother and daughter relationships, or whoever it's about. Maybe it's about grandmother. And then in that from that you're going to create a 1-page typed essay about the 3 essential questions. It has to be typed, 1.5 line spacing, 12-point font, Times New Roman, Arial. The margins need to be 1 inch. If you have problems with any of this, let me know. So your main things you're going to be doing are summarizing the poem, discussing the relationship between the poem and the place. Does this poem reflect change society, or both? How? What is the poem's relationship to tradition? And then what do you like about the poem and why? Don't say I don't like anything about the poem. Find something to like, okay? Somebody poured their heart and soul into this. Be respectful. Try to figure out something. So your checklist is here. Did you summarize the poem clearly? Did you explain clearly the relationship between poem and place? Did you give an example of how the poem reflects or changes society? So that means you can't say no there, right? An example looks like quotes, right? So it has a citation. Did you give an example of how the poem relates to tradition? So again, must have something there. Did you clearly explain what you like about the poem, citing specific details from the poems? Remember, citing specific details means quotes. Did you revise the essay to make sure that it was clear and concise and add more examples if needed? Did you edit it? Did you follow the proper format? So that's all of that stuff. And then down here is your rubric, 5 points. That means you need 4 to pass, I think it is. So, because it's 3.5, I think. But we don't have 0.5, so you have to get 4. Poem summarized effectively, essential questions and themes addressed, good examples of figurative language, impact of word choice. Writing is developed and organized effectively. You have analysis with evidence, and you've revised it. So that's all there is for performance task 2. Other than that, we'll move on to performance task 3, which you should already be somewhat familiar with. If you have any questions, let me know. I can totally help you out.